Well, a few days ago, or a week ago, whenever it was, we had that Maxcom 13 with the crystal filter. You know what? I didn't like it, the bassy response on receive. So what I've done, the white balance looks wrong. What's happened there? Anyway, what I've dug out, this is my own Maxcom 30. The other one belonged to a gentleman called Nigel at Sheffield. And this is August 1991, so this is later, isn't it? I can't remember who. I don't think I bought this. I think somebody kindly gave it me, and there you go. So although I've got plenty of jobs to be getting on with, which are customer repairs, I just felt that I ought to do this one. There we go. It's unsoldered the speaker, or unsmoldered it. So we would need to replace that power connector, which we've got in stock. For those of you who don't know, we've got them listed on eBay. So that wants dealing with. Anyway, we'll see whether the rest of the set can be resurrected. I don't know the story behind it because I've forgotten. I'm sure somebody gave us this. Right. Shall we start it off with the crocodile clip leads? Yeah. And we'll see whether the PA works. I'm sure you all enjoyed our low power test when we did the on-the-air test to the Binatone Route 66 yesterday. I might try and include that quite regularly when time permits. It takes a lot of editing because I think Mr Chippie did it on his. He must have done it on his mobile phone. I don't do mobile phones, but he does, and it takes a lot of processing because it's a different format to what the camcorder uses. Perhaps I ought to get a camcorder which is compatible with the other camcorder we normally use. I'll start this off at 9 volts. Okay, it's powered up. It's got a scratchy volume control. Channel 4. 125 milliamps. We'll go straight to 13.8 volts. 175 milliamps. We're lit up. Let's go to PA. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Is it on the mic gain? 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Is it a dodgy switch? Just turn the radio off. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Not working on PA. It's making receive noises. So we'll put something on the signal generator. Right, so it's receiving. That's 100 microvolts. It nearly reads S9. And it's doing 1 microvolt for 12 decibel cyanide, which is kind of what you expect. So with the local DX switch, local means you can use the RF gain control. So let's set that to a scratchy position and switch to DX bypasses it. So that's all it does. It enables the RF gain control. You might have a situation where you often use your radio in convoy and you don't want your, shall we say, windows blowing out, and so you may have that set so right down there, and you just, when you're in that convoy situation, you flick it along with your low power, which would be in that position. So it could have its uses. So we're in 4 watts. See whether it transmits. Yeah, it does. It's doing 3.1. And in low power, it's doing 260 milliwatts. So, to be honest, it just looks like it wants a tune-up. Well, that makes a change. But I don't remember buying this one, so somebody must have really been very kind and given it me, and I've no doubt I acknowledged that at the time, but it must be a year or more ago. Right, let's see. Let's switch picture in picture on. Put the glasses on and just want to peek these coils. It's not far off frequency, so I can trim that later. I'm on channel 20, aren't I? Yeah. Okay, so we've got it up to 3.4. Just go backwards a bit, because these can be interactive. 3.6. 3.7. 3.8. 4. Let's just key it up and make sure it does that again. Yep. I'll just start again. I was still in low power. Start again. We've actually untuned it. Okay, 3.1. Right, 3.1 it is. So, we'll just do the other two. .1. .6. Let's go back to this one. 3.8. 4. Good. I see it's somewhere near on channel 1 and 40 because there's no different tune-up for the different channels. It's a smidgen away from 4 on channel 40, and it's just about bang on the 4. Yeah, it's pretty constant. Yeah, it's 4 throughout. I'm just going to just touch that one once again. As it's warmed up, it's about 3.95. One of the things you can do with reference to the service manual is some of these coils can be touched. Now I'm not going to do that, and we've covered this chassis before. It's the same chassis as the Maxcom 4E, 6E, 16E, Midland 2001, 3001, 4001, Colt 295, Colt 295A, Cobra 21XFM, Nentone, and a host of others. So we have covered it time and time again. The difference with the 30E is they put a crystal filter in, which is there. Right, so having done that, let's just do the TX meter. So we should have 4 showing on the meter. It's reading more than 5. So I've got it bang on between the 3 and the 5. And remember, as I keep saying, once you're on an aerial, the meter will no longer read 4. If the radio is doing 4 watts, which it is, into our dummy load on the test instrument, when you put it on an aerial, it's unlikely to read the same power. It might read 2, it might read 10. It doesn't mean you're doing 2 or 10 watts. It's still doing 4 watts, but the meter reacts differently to its when it sees a different impedance and reactance and so on. So it's pretty meaningless, and on modern radios they're pre-programmed to just read something. You can take the output transistor out, press transmit, and the meter will still read like it's transmitting. So it's absolute BS. And most of the new sets are just pre-programmed meters, and it stops people going, "Oh, my radio's only doing 1 watt." No, that doesn't mean it. So I do like relative power meters when you've got to have a meter, more than a pre-programmed one, but you have to realise what I've just said is only as set into a dummy load. So we're now going to do low power because I wanted to do 0.4 of a watt. So we've gone into the 3 watt range on the test set. So 3 watts is full scale deflection, and there's 5. And so 0.4 is just there. So let's key it up. It's doing 0.2, and hopefully that preset enables me to set that to 0.4, and that's absolutely bang on. While we're at it, we'll do the frequency. I'll just show you that. I'll put it on the inset picture. So really pretty close. Do drop naturally with age, and that includes digital watches. So that's that set. Let's do deviation. What are you going to have? Is it going to be somewhere near, or is it going to be miles away? Well, well, now we've found why there's no PA. There's no transmitted audio. Right. Wallow. Okay, we'll get our monitor receiver out and we'll listen to it. So the deviation control, if I recall, I think it's that one. Now can you hear? I'm getting a click when I put my screwdriver with my fingers on it, on there. So it is transmitting audio. Now the fact it doesn't work in PA means we've got a problem somewhere. First of all, we'll just look at wires off on the back of the mic socket. So we've got nothing there. We don't have mic gain, do we, on this? Yes, we do. So we can touch that. So we've got, you can hear quite clearly we've got audio there. I mean, we could just have a dirty potentiometer, and that's why there's no audio. I'll pause the video and I'll go and pinch a service hole off Mr Chippie's bench. Oh well, that's what the fault was. Hello, testing 1 2. Good. Which means now if I flick this to PA, testing 1 2, testing 1 2, 1 2, 1 2 1 2. You know what? It still doesn't work. Is it on there? 1 2 1 2. It's on the volume control, not mic gain. Yes. So there we are. That's fixed that. Ah. Good. So that concludes the transmit. Let's have a look at the receive. So I've cleaned the volume control while I was at it. Must have been in a particularly damp environment, and look at the rusty screws, that would be the case. I'll just check the signal generator is still on frequency. It is. And we're going to put a nice big signal of 100 microvolts, which is the S9 equivalent in the UK for a CB radio, not for an amateur radio and not for a VHF radio. And let's look for the detector. Now they've filled it with wax, which is fair enough because it does drift on the Maxcom chassis. Let's have a look at the oscilloscope. I'm going to have to make sure it's right. So we'll melt the wax. It's not normally waxed in that, but this one is. It was spot on. You can't always trust that it is. So that can stay with the wax in it. Right, let's see if we can get some more sensitivity out of it, because it's not as hot as it might be. A little bit gain there. Nothing. Just do that with a bigger signal. It's kind of well out of adjustment. There we go. I'll just go back on these two. Yeah, we've got an improvement, you see now. That was so far out. think that's it. Let's see what we've got. I'm not showing you the cyanide meter. Well, it's got it back to 1 microvolts for 12 decibel cyanide, but it's not exactly hot. I'm just going to see what we can hear from the bad buddies in Nottingham. I honestly don't find these work as well as the 4E and the 6E, which don't have the crystal filter. I've consistently found that, and that's why I haven't sent back the one I did a few days ago. I wanted to do this one first. Now, if this is working right, they should be a bit distorted, because they're all going to be over-deviating. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds as bad as I'd expect it to sound. So that's fine. And we are picking them up from 35 miles away, but they're going to be at least on 45 watts, because that seems to be what they do. I actually drove over to Nottingham and had a listen, and they're all running these 10 metre amateur sets illegally on CB. You know, it's about time the authorities did a bit of a sweep, to be honest, because it does spoil it for people who want to use CB normally and not just sit on 19 swearing at high power. So, yes, that's about where we are. Notice the Samsung LM324 there. Before Samsung was a popular brand, they were component manufacturers. And there's the Kia 7205. Before Kia were doing motor cars and owned by Hyundai, they were making microchips. So, where are we? We need to do the S meter. So let's go back to an S9 signal. And as you can see, we just need to trim that a little bit. It's showing S6. Now one of them's squelch and one of them is S meter, with S meters on the back of the meter as an afterthought. And it actually will trim on this particular set. So that's that done. And then finally squelch. So let's put the squelch to full. And what I want to happen, show you the attenuator controls, is I want to be able to put 100 microvolts on, which is S9 equivalent, and I want the squelch to open. 1, 3, 5, 10, 30, 100. It doesn't open. When does it open? 300. 1 millivolt, 3 millivolts. It never opens. That's a clever squelch, isn't it? So I've got that so it just opens. That's now opening at 100 microvolts. So now we'll check it at the other end. I've now put the signal generator to standby. I've parked it at 0.3 of a microvolt. We're going to turn this down and set threshold. And then we're going to switch the signal generator on. It's come straight in. So it's opening at just over 0.3 of a microvolt. It's actually not holding it at that, so let's just see. It's opening about 0.55 of a microvolt. and as we turn it down, it drops out 0.35. So it's got quite a wide hysteresis. And let's see how low we can hear this down to, because although I say it's only doing 1 microvolt for 12 dB synad, you know, some of that can be just internally generated noise. So turn the squelch off on the radio. So we're listening at the moment to 1 microvolt. Just turn that down. So 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, 0.4. About 0.35 a microvolt you can hear on it. So it's not deaf at all, but it's got a bit more noise than some sets. That can be down to cheaper components. And this is one of these sets that hisses when you turn the squelch on. Yeah, a lot of that. Right, so we're done. I'll think about that connector. I'm going to go and do something else for a couple of hours, and then we'll come back to this radio. Right, so I've decided I'll change this skirt connector. I'll just take my prods out. It's lost one of its lugs. So which is the right one of these? It's one of these extraction tools for Molex type connectors. Other brands available. I think looks possible. No, is it the fatter one? I'll unplug the connectors. Might make it easier. We've got another bundle of these, which has probably got a more suitable one on. You've got to release the tabs, or replace the pins, which I could do. It's the smaller one. So it's on this bundle, it's the red one. I think I got these from AliExpress. You can get the proper one for about £69. Or you can get this bundle for about £3. I think we're going to end up having to cut that one off and putting a new pin in. No, it ain't gonna come out, folks. Oh, well, it has. Right. So I've got the new one at the ready. I think this radio's got bashed on the back. So you can see compare the tabs missing on one side. And I'll go and get the telephone. That was an elderly lady on the phone. She's 87, I know, from one of the churches I play at. And she's crying on the phone because at 11:30 this morning, Amazon phoned her, it turns out, and they're going to take money out of her bank account. So I said, they're not. She hasn't even got an account with Amazon. She hasn't got a computer. She hasn't got a mobile phone. And I said, it's a scam. Now, my grandfather, on my mother's side, was from Sheffield. And in 1937, now he was an accountant. And so, you know, he was earning more money than a lot of people. And he fell for a scam in 1937, which was an Irish scam. I think back then, unfortunately, they were. And this one was to invest in a rabbit farm. So he did. And he sent £100 at a time when people earned £5 a week. So nearly 6 months' wages. And of course he lost a lot, didn't he? So there's nothing new about it. There we go. So I'm glad we were able to recover the pins on that. Good. So I'll throw that away and we'll put the lid back on. The person with the Maxcom 30 I did a few days ago emailed me. He said, is it ready? So I said, oh, haven't you seen the email? Well, he hasn't had the email. Haven't you seen the video? No, he hasn't. He's been busy. So I said, well, I'm just holding it another few days because I wanted to compare it against my set. So that's what we're going to do. Just wait for that soldering iron to come on. And we're done. So I want to know is mine as bassy as his. Now he changed lots of capacitors now, and there's always a possibility he's changed the value, which has changed the tone. Now this didn't come with any screws, so these RS4830934 M3 6mm. I think they work out at 6p each. It's wobbled and threw my screw off balance. Right, there we go. So, time to connect it back up. And I really can't be bothered to go and get a power lead, so we'll put the crocodile clips back. And it's lit up. I also felt the display was a bit dim on the customer's one, and it is on this, so there's no difference. I've checked all the voltages. See if it works on its internal speaker. Now ours is definitely more trebly than his. Squelch is right at the end, even though you saw me calibrate it properly. And as you can hear, they're all coming through distorted. You can hear them, but they're distorted in comparison to how they should be, because they're all over-deviating or using illegal radios, and that's the problem. So people are going to have sets like this, which have got the crystal filters in them, and they're going to think it's a load of rubbish. It'll be fine when we talk to Mr Chippie on it. Well, no, Roger. Right, well, Parky's on 31, I don't want to listen to them. So that's ready for a test with Mr Chippie. So they're 35 miles away, and so I drove over to Nottingham to have a listen, and I know they're all using those amateur radio sets which have been, what's the phrase? Opened up to go on citizens band illegally, I think is the right way to put it. So it's very disappointing. They sit there on 19 and never seem to change channels. And people wanting to do, road traffic reports on 19 as they're driving through, they can't because they've got what I refer to as the burner brigade there. So it really is frustrating, but nothing I can do as a service engineer. So there we are. So there we are, another Maxcom 30, but I just wanted to verify that the customer's one was similar to mine. The only difference is his is bassier. I might look into that before sending it back. So thanks for watching, and the on-the-air test will follow, and I'll see whether Mr Chippie wants to do another low power test. That was good.